5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
This is the Culture Clash.
Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
It's been a bit. Let's see if I remember how to do this thing. Welcome to the latest episode of Culture Clash here on the Fandom Podcast Network. This is episode 290, and we got a fun show planned for you tonight as we are going to be discussing a lot of Star Wars, including Star Wars Maul, Shadow Lord, and we're going to have a little conversation about the state of Star Wars. Now, granted, it has been a bit since we've had a Culture Clash, bit work, trips to foreign countries, a lot of other things have been going on, but we are here back on the Fandom Podcast Network with the flagship show of the Fandom Podcast Network, which is Culture Clash, and we are very proud to have that here. And if you are watching live on YouTube, scan that QR code on your screen because it'll take you to the vast library that is the Fandom Podcast Network. Over 10 years worth of podcast material there. Take a listen, get some of our classic stuff, a lot of great things there. But guys, I cannot do Culture Clash alone. Oh, no. That would be boring for you, the listener. I mean, I know you like me, but we need conversation here. We are a conversation show. And I can't think of anybody better to converse with about fandom and especially Star Wars than my co-founder, my brother from another mother, the man, the myth, the legend in his own mind, Mr. Kevin Reitzel.
All that is accurate. Good to see you, buddy. It's been a while. It's been a while since we've done a Culture Clash. You obviously, during this time, of course, you were going through tax hell. I was in Australia for a month, so we got a lot to catch up on.
Well, and then we did get sidetracked by a trip to Hell's Kitchen and True Believers, covering everything Daredevil too. But
this is very true. Yes,
but we are back here with the Culture Clash, guys. We are excited, and we got big stuff to go. Hey. These guys right here, they're telling you, watch Culture Clash. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you give us comments in the chat. We love it when you guys participate. We love getting your thoughts. And I think this is going to be an episode where if you guys listen to it and you're watching live, you're going to have a lot of thoughts on it. So let's have a little fun. But before we get started with that, this is a network. It's not just a network. It's the Fandom Podcast Network, which means we got a lot of things going on. So let's talk about what's coming soon and just arrived here on the network. And now, what's now playing? And Kevin, we aren't the only ones covering What a Piece of Junk here on the Fandom Podcast Network. Our boys over at, Small Shadow Lord, because our boys over at What a Piece of Junk have been covering it very well themselves, including a very interesting, they had a fancy studio for an episode. I'm jealous.
Yes, our What a Piece of Junk, which is the Star Wars podcast on the Fandom Podcast Network, is covering episode by episode, so make sure you go check them out. They're doing it week by week, whereas tonight we're going to actually kind of sum it all up now that the first season is done.
And a quick out there to hi to Isaiah York 1167. Appreciate you hopping in on the show. But Kevin, you've been running up some time warps because we're doing the year of 1996.
Yeah, 1996 is celebrating its 30th anniversary as of this recording of 2026. And there's been a lot of good movies, a lot of good 90s stuff going on. So, we just dropped our most recent one in April where we talked about The Substitute, Truth About Cats and Dogs, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Primal Fear, and many others. And go back and check out January, February, and March as well. Some really good shows there.
Yeah, been having a lot of fun with that. We always do with Time Warp. And of course, our good friend Adam O'Brien, the Lethal Mullet himself, he's been doing some interesting stuff over there. He's having way too much fun with AI and Photoshop these days. But if you follow our Facebook feeds, you'll see that. But he did Dungeons and Dragons. And oh, no. He did not do the Chris Pine Dungeons and Dragons. He went back, Kevin, and he did the one that had Jeremy Irons and Marlon Wayans in it.
Yeah, that's a cult classic right there.
I think he might have learned a lesson in watching that one, but
yes.
But he's also doing a lot of great stuff over there on the Lethal Mullet with all the 80s action, 90s, and those obscure movies that just kind of slip through the cracks sometimes.
It was nice to catch up with him while I was in Australia. Him, and Blair, we got to hang out for a day. It was great.
exciting things are actually happening in Highlander these days, Kevin. We got a movie coming out. You're hanging out with John Mosby again. What's going on with Blood of Kings?
Yeah, well, first of all, we recently released episode 176, where we had the first pictures and video of the new reboot. Of course, a lot has come out since then. That was like a month ago we did that podcast, but we had like the full Highlander brain trust. Of course, we had my co-host Lee. We had John Mosby on there. We had our friend Dan Hadley, the host of our Type 40 Doctor Who podcast, because he's in Birmingham there. He's a huge Highlander fan. Then we also had Grant Kempster, the head of Highlander Heart, the biggest Highlander Facebook group. He was there as well. We had a great show. And then Mosby came back with me and Lee and discussed his 1994 Highlander 3 article, which was great. It was a really good insight of what he is as a journalist and visiting the set and interviewing the stars.
Now, you all survived that because that one podcast with all of you on it because you recorded that on Holy Ground, right, Kevin?
We did, yes. But it was great. We did it live, and we had a great turnout. It was awesome.
Well, too, we talked about it a few minutes ago, Kevin, but we've been covering Daredevil over on True Believers, which, even though it says a Marvel and MCU podcast, we've kind of morphed True Believers into covering all things comic book media related, whether it's
all
a movie,
superheroes,
TV show. But we have had a blast covering Daredevil Born Again with our good friend Kat Cedar. It is one of my favorite shows Marvel has ever done, and this second season of Born Again was absolutely fantastic. We are going to be wrapping it up on Sunday night with our live broadcast, talking about the finale of Daredevil Born Again here on the YouTube channel. So check it out if you have not had a chance yet, and then join us live Sunday for our talk and thoughts on the finale.
Again, for those of you watching live, please leave some comments in the live chat. We'd love to share them.
Yeah. Kevin, we've been doing a little bit of Canon Films, a Couch Potato Theater, and we put out our most recent tribute to Canon Films, Bloodsport.
Yes. We had Adam on for that one as well. And we had a really, really good podcast on this. And we talked about the history of it. And with Frank Dukes and all that kind of stuff. It was great. I'm waiting for an official release of this on Blu-ray here in the States. So it's really hard to find. I know there's been some other countries that have covered this on Blu-ray, but we need like an official new release. Otherwise, it's just that double feature with Time Cop and Bloodsport, which is kind of hard to find, and you got to pay money for it.
Yeah. We've had a lot of fun covering Canon Films. Bloodsport was a lot of fun. Kevin, when are you going back to the Kumite?
Never.
And of course, too, we've been releasing some Fandom Podcast Network classics, some of our favorite couch potato theaters from over the years. And we put out a few fun ones recently, Kevin, including we put out a couple in 1 week because we made it Fighter Pilot Week with Top Gun and Iron Eagle. And then we put out one of your favorites and one of mine, too. You have your pizza?
Yeah.
Are you set?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from 1990, the live action one. We re-released that one, and then we also released the audio of Varsity Blues as well. These are all audio only, so check out the podcast feed for those. But we wanted to celebrate a couple of fighter pilot movies that came out the same year in 1986 with Top Gun and Iron Eagle, and of course Varsity Blues came out in 99, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Who'd you rather be your wingman, Maverick or Doug Masters?
Donatello. I'll go with Donatello.
Okay, yeah, good choice. Maybe Raphael, but it's
Mikey's my favorite, but I want Donatello. He's smart.
Yeah, there you go. He's your goose. Talk to me, Donatello. Talk to me. But we have a few things that are coming soon too. We got to give you a little taste of what we're working on here behind the scenes. We got a couple more classics we're restoring, including The Crow, which will be out in just a few days for the anniversary of its release on May 13th, 1994. And we're going to... One is good as one is bad. Is that the rule on this, Kevin?
Yes, we're re-releasing the G.I. Joe double feature that we did. I had our good friend Aaron Ed Moss, who does the G.I. Joe Headcast podcast and network, and we also had my buddy Leon as co-host, talking about G.I. Joe The Rise of Cobra and G.I. Joe Retaliation.
Yeah, an interesting mix of films. We'll just leave it at that. But coming up to, not only is Daredevil wrapping up, we have a very in fact, the night we're recording this Culture Clash. The Punisher One Last Kill hits Disney Plus. We will be covering that on True Believers. Kind of a follow-up finale to Daredevil, but the rumor is that because the Punisher is in the new Spider-Man movie, this is also going to lead into the Spider-Man movie that's coming out in July, Kevin.
I'm excited. I can't wait for this. It's gonna be fun.
This is going to be
Make sure you
very
pay
fun.
attention. We will be celebrating this movie. So yeah.
At Time Warp 1996 May, we're going to be recording that soon. Kevin, you're just about this because of Barbed Wire, right?
Yes. May of 1996 had some bangers. We got Barbed Wire, Mission Impossible, the first one, The Craft, Twister, Dragonheart, and Spy Hard, just to name a few.
Twister, one of my all-time favorites. Can't wait. And of course, we are going to be wrapping up our Canon Films retrospective, and we're doing it with style because next month in June, we have the new Masters of the Universe movie. But you know what? We're going to take it back to 1987. A little Dolph Lundgren, a little Anthony DeLongis, a few other people. We're going to cover Canon's version of Masters of the Universe, Kevin.
Yeah, looking forward to that.
That will be fun, and we will see if we have the power. And you got a special project you're working on for Couch Potato Theater.
Yeah, we're going to cover the 1981 classic Outland starring Sean Connery because there's been a lot of fan speculation that that could be an Alien prequel in the world that it's set. So we're going to discuss that. Hoping to get our good friend Adam O'Brien on for that as well.
Yeah, that will be a ton of fun. But guys, this is Culture Clash, episode 290, Star Wars, Maul, Shadow Lord, and the state of Star Wars. We're going to kick things off, though, by talking about Maul itself. So, guys, let's just get into it. Okay, and before we get started, I just want to give everybody a little spoiler warning. We are going to be going full in-depth on Maul, so if you have not watched all of Maul yet, sit down, go watch it, come back, join us, watch this. But Kevin, I feel a disturbance in the Force.
Yes. Are you feeling the presence of someone you recognize? Is that what you're saying?
It's something familiar, but it's a feeling I haven't felt in a long time.
So I'm really excited for this because we're going to be talking about Maul, but I had to bring on a special guest. Someone we have not had on the Fandom Podcast Network in a long time, which kind of surprises me. We had a special segment for a few times, and I want to bring to the table my daughter, my awesome daughter, Camille, for Camille's Corner. How are you, Camille?
Hello there. Hello, everyone. It's good to be back. I am how many years older now? About to be turning 21. Oh boy.
Yeah, Camille's going to be turning 21 in a couple of months. And but you now before we get into Maul, first of all, it's great to have you on for our Camille Corner like we used to do way back in the day, in the early days of the Fandom Podcast Network.
Lovely to be here.
Yeah, I know, right? But I wanted to ask you, so you and I, when you were younger, I got you into watching Star Wars. One of the things we used to do was we used to play the Lego video game, and that was a great introduction for you. I used to tell you the Star Wars stories before you went to bed.
And you would terrify me with your Emperor Palpatine voice, and I would ask you to stop.
Yes, good times of trauma.
Daddy, stop, you're scaring me.
But you recently reached out to me, and you're still living in Georgia. I'm in California now, and you wanted to actually start watching the all the original Star Wars movies and the prequel movies, but you wanted to do it in chronological order. And so we've been doing it through Discord online, and we of course started with episode 1, and then watched episode 2, and then I introduced you to the Tartakovsky animated shorts that had General Grievous in it, because if people are listening to this podcast and not watching it, you are showing your avatar, which is General Grievous, which is one of your favorite characters, and so you got to watch that. And right now we just finished Return of the Jedi, so we're going to be diving into the sequel trilogy. But I want to ask you, first of all, why is it that you wanted to go back and revisit Star Wars now?
Well, I will start by saying this. I have been a self-taught 3D animator for over 10 years now. So I've always had a massive passion for all different types of art. And, that doesn't just count, what you normally think of when you think of art, I guess, in terms of drawings or things like that. I think of all sorts of things as art, like music, movies, all that kinds of stuff. And being a 3D animator has got me very interested in all sorts of technological stuff. But I've also realized recently that my, I suppose, current dream job is to be a voice actor. So all these things combined and all that stuff, and also just me now getting older and having more of an appreciation for stories and characters, I really wanted to rewatch the Star Wars movies from this point of view and maybe see what I picked up on, or how I would get interested in some things, or maybe if I could analyze things a bit differently, because you raised me to be a nerd and that hasn't gone away. And, a lot of people on Facebook kept on saying, oh, she's never going to get a boyfriend. Oh, I don't need one. I got Star Wars.
Well, that's great. I was really happy that you reached out to me. We've been having a lot of fun revisiting the movies. And but I wanted to ask you now, so we're up to the next one we're going to be watching together is The Force Awakens. But from what you've seen so far, what has been your favorite movie, the Star Wars movie thus far?
I think I am going to have to be a sucker and say Revenge of the Sith. Definitely. Really like that one. In terms of, I just really liked, I don't know. I like the drama. I like seeing everything fall apart and seeing everything come together, if that makes sense. I really like seeing the peak of what really happened to Anakin.
Right.
And I feel like that is also maybe kind of why, in terms of the original trilogy, Return of the Jedi is my favorite, because, you and I finished that one not too long ago, and you could tell that now I'm able to kind of feel the whole Vader story a lot more now, and it's a lot sadder to me now what's going on between him and Luke, now that I can analyze that a lot more and put things together. And I mean, I've also been interested in psychology and stuff like that over the past few years. So reading into Anakin's character and seeing the psychology and even just the, manipulation effects that Palpatine had on him in a raw sense, it was really cool to analyze it and think of all that. And that's what I hope to do here today with Maul.
Great. Well, speaking of Maul, as we get into Maul, and Kyle, I'm going to turn it back over to you in a second. But I just want to say I'm very proud of you, because you ended up marathoning Maul in 2 days.
Yeah. I finished it within 24 hours, I'm pretty sure.
What's that?
I finished it within 24 hours, I'm pretty sure.
That's great. All right, Kyle, back over to you. What do we got?
We have got to talk a little Maul Shadow Lord here, and Mr. Reitzel, I need your help.
Yes.
Would you pull into the Great Jedi Lexicon and give us the overview for Maul Shadow Lord?
You got it. Okay, here we go. And I can't do it as good as Sam Witwer, but I'm going to give it my best shot. Okay, here we go. All right. Maul Shadow Lord takes place in the early days of the Empire. Unclear how early time-wise, though we know it's well before the events of Solo and Rebels, when everyone is getting used to the new status quo and trying their best not to attract the regime's attention. As Maul is on Janix, working with a few allies from Mandalore and Dathomir to begin his underworld takeover, he comes across Devon Azara and her master, Echo Diodaki. Maul is certain that he and Devon are linked and destined to be important to one another. As the two enter each other's orbits, they also are being circled by Brander Lawson, a cop who is doing a terrible job raising his son. After he and his wife split up, totally understandable reasons, she joined the Empire. Despite all attempts to keep the Empire away from Janix, they are eventually called thanks to Lawson's unfortunately lawful good-aligned partner, Two Boots, not understanding fascism at all. The whole group are eventually forced to work together and trust one another in order to escape the planet, with Inquisitors and Stormtroopers hot on their tail.
Okay, guys, so that is a bit of a summary of Maul Shadow Lord, but I think we need to hit the most important thing, and I think we need to start with our guest first. Camille, what were your overall thoughts and impressions on Maul Shadow Lord?
Once it took a certain direction, it really, really hooked me. Once it started exploring Maul more personally Because I didn't really, I guess, know that it was going to do that. And so it really hooked me and reeled me in really quickly. And that's what motivated me to finish it a lot quicker. But I started getting a lot of emotional reactions real quick.
What about you, Kevin? What were your first impressions of Maul Shadow Lord?
I was curious to see how they were going to, because, when we last saw Maul, we saw him in two situations. Obviously, we saw his death in Star Wars Rebels on Tatooine.
I thought you were going to say we saw him in two pieces.
Yeah.
We've seen that too.
Well, where we've seen him last, obviously. We've seen his death. We know how he ends. But more importantly, at the end of Solo, he is high on the Crimson Dawn ladder, where he is obviously in control of this criminal underworld here. And so we need to find out how he gets to that. And we basically see him kind of like, struggling to, first of all, stay off the radar of, the Empire and still do his criminal underworld here on Janix. But, and then have these allies, this ragtag group of allies. And going into it, I was going to wonder, like, okay, is he still going to be the villain that we all know he is? Or is he going to be, are we going to learn more about him to where, I'm not going to say we're rooting for him, but we're going to sympathize with him a little bit. And I feel like we got a little bit of both of that. And I just got to say, the animation of this show is
phenomenal.
Fantastic. The look is fantastic. What about you, Kyle?
I wasn't sure when they first announced the show, because I felt like we were kind of done with this. And as far as this timeline and this animation, but Maul is a character that everybody loves. And I went into it and it pulled me in very quickly. I was very impressed with what they did with this. I love seeing the Inquisitors. The fight scenes in this are excellent, but it plays a good emotional drama as well. And it is kind of this still one really untouched area in the modern Star Wars timeline, that period before Solo, and how Darth Maul gets into power with the Crimson Dawn. And so I like that they're telling this story. And with Maul, I'm going to say this now, and this is one of my biggest points about not only Maul, but Star Wars animation in general. I think Darth Maul, who was basically George Lucas made into a one-off, oh, he looks cool character, thanks to Star Wars animation, much like Ahsoka, I think Darth Maul is now one of the most developed and most deep Star Wars characters we've ever had, because of what they've done with him through the animation side and the emotions they've shown. His back
next to Ahsoka, right?
Yeah, I think he might have surpassed Ahsoka at this point.
I agree.
After the show. So
I
think
agree, and that's crazy. Sorry.
Go ahead, Camille. Go
Sorry.
ahead.
I apologize. Bad tendency of mine. But I was just going to say, I agree, and that's crazy coming from me as a diehard Ahsoka fan.
Well,
what's funny is before this series, I made that comment about Ahsoka after the last series. I think it might have been the animated, the last season of Clone Wars, and then into the Ahsoka TV series, was that she had gotten so much coverage through all of these things. And hey, look who's in the chat! It's Lacee.
Hey,
Lacee, we miss you.
And also, I should say a late hi to Isaiah as well. He is a friend of mine coming in to say hi. So.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Isaiah. But anyway, yeah, you're right. Next to Ahsoka, Maul has gotten a lot of development. So yeah.
My question for you guys though is one of my questions for you guys is this before we get into the cast itself too. With Maul, and especially how with this series, but what we've seen with Maul, I think one of the biggest things with Maul, and Camille, I know you want to really talk about this, so I want to give you the floor on this.
Sure.
Maul has one of the more interesting psyches in Star Wars. This is a guy who has been through so much trauma. He should hold the record for Star Wars PTSD. I think even over
That's
Anakin and the people of Alderaan.
Yeah.
But Maul has what they've done with Maul in this series, and what they've done with him in Rebels and in Clone Wars. It's some of the most intelligent character writing I think I've ever seen, because they really cross lines with Maul that you really don't see in other Star Wars characters. And I think for whatever reason, they're very brave with Maul and how they write him. And Camille, I know you have some real big thoughts on this, especially with Maul's sight.
Yes. So, like I kind of mentioned earlier, I am really interested in all different kinds of psychology. And what really hooked me, the scene that really started, like, I'll say it kind of like literally grabbed me like a fish hook. The scene that really got me in Maul is when he collapses and he sees his younger self in a puddle. And he at first splashes it away and says, "I hate you." And then it comes back and his younger self is crying to him and says, "I'm sorry." And this time you see Maul become more gentle and he consoles his own inner child and says, "It's all right. I won't let him do this to anyone ever again." And I think that for me really just went, oh, dang, this guy really isn't okay. And it just started really making me think back to everything that he's been through and connecting the dots. And I mean, we also have to remember that he kind of had his sanity given back to him by Mother Talzin. So we don't really know how reliable that is in terms of actually making him kind of okay in the head. I've kind of described Maul as a very far off character. He's not really fully on the ground anymore. He's still kind of floaty, but he's a really weird balance between sane and not sane. It's like he's a rational type of insane, and it's really cool.
Camille, I just want to add to that. When you get your sanity back from a Night Sister, I don't think the warranty on that lasts really long.
Exactly.
You know what's interesting, Camille? By the way, that was an excellent take. Thank you for saying that.
And I'm not done. I better get to continue later.
No. Yeah, I'm going to give this to you because
yes,
what you're saying right now is the type of thing that I really wanted more of when we first thought he was dead at the end of episode 1, because the build up to that movie, seeing his picture pasted everywhere, the cover of the books, the cover of this. I had this great Maul jacket that I bought at Celebration 1 in Denver, Colorado, and I still have it. This is the type of thing I wanted to dive into, and so I'm so thankful that you brought that up.
Real quick, can you put me in your will for that Maul jacket?
Yeah, that's yours.
But yeah, because speaking of episode 1, something I found really interesting is the more that I started diving into Maul's character, and some people from the outside may look at this and go, "Oh my God, you're looking into this too much. He's just a weird villain guy." And I'm like, shut up. Let me talk. Just listen to me. We see that in episode 1, he doesn't really have, I think I looked it up and it's like he has like 3 lines of dialogue in episode 1. And a lot of people think, oh yeah, he's this mysterious, brooding character. That's why. But I found a short story, and it's right now it's slipping the name. The name of it is slipping my mind. Let me check in my tab real quick here. But it's a story of what happened when Maul was like very, very young, even before he was taken by Sidious. And it opened up, it's called An Unwilling Apprentice is what it's called. And it opened up a lot to some thinking ground for me, because it showed how Maul was treated as a child, even before Sidious took him. And it shows, because it takes place kind of from Maul's point of view. It's not first person, but it kind of still shows his point of view. And it literally shows how he just loses faith in the world, and he learns to keep everything inside. And I can sympathize with that a little bit. If you live in an environment with someone who doesn't always listen to you, you kind of learn to just shut up. It's a trauma response that you can definitely have as a child. And it makes me wonder if Maul really just kind of learned to get through by biting his tongue and listening to Sidious, and maybe that could be why he doesn't speak very much.
That is an excellent observation.
Because I've seen people say, like, oh, why does he only have 3 lines in the movie, and then he literally never shuts up during the Clone Wars? And I think it's because now that he's kind of off Sidious's radar, he can say whatever the hell he wants, and he doesn't have to feel sorry for it or anything like that.
He's a very fleshed out character now, definitely.
Exactly. And just to say a little bit more on that short story, to give some more insight to even how messed up he was before Sidious took him. he overheard his mother Talzin, talking with Sidious, and Sidious was basically saying, well, you're going to give up your son, and he's going to get sent into the forest. And so Maul runs away scared, thinking that when he comes back, it's all going to be a dream or a misunderstanding. But when he comes back, he finds this Night Brother keeper that is to be the one that takes him in. And the first thing that happens to him is he gets slapped in the face, and then he gets dragged by the arm, and he gets thrown into this pit. And then later, these two other Zabreks show up, and they start beating the daylights out of him. And it shows what all happened to him, because the way he becomes Sidious's apprentice is after a really long time of enduring that. There's this battle that some Zabrek are taking place in, and whoever wins is to be Sidious's apprentice. And so he shows up, and the other two Zabrek boys, they see him, and they come over, and they start trying to beat on him, and he force chokes them. And he was still a child when he did that. He force choked two people out as a child, like simple as that. He figured out how to do it without Sidious's teaching.
Where is this story for other people that want to find it?
I think you mainly have to get the physical copy, but you can, if you search up Star Wars An Unwilling Apprentice, you can find it on a site called VK. You can find a translation on there. It's really not that long.
Thanks for giving us some insight on his background. That's fantastic. Kyle, what do you got next?
Well, Camille, and I know you have some other things to come to discuss, but I think I want to talk about the cast, because I think you're going to have some points with certain characters, and I think that I want to hit that. So without further ado, let's talk about the cast of Maul. Kevin, is it safe to say at this point, when we think Darth Maul, we don't think Ray Park anymore? We think Sam.
Sam Witwer, man. Yeah. This guy's amazing. And I remember hearing a story about how he would keep talking to Dave Filoni about these ideas that he had for Maul in his limited run that he did during the Clone Wars. And then Dave Filoni kind of secretly said to him, look, hey, let's hold on to that. We might have something later on.
Well, not only that, I have to give it to Sam Witwer, because I think he is one of the best ambassadors for Star Wars in this era right now. This guy is all over the place. He's always talking up Star Wars. He's a great guy, but he is Darth Maul now. To me, there is not even a question about it anymore. He is the man who put the emotion, who put everything, the puzzle pieces together for Maul. And I'm so glad that he is getting a show that is Maul dedicated, just so we can see how amazing that he is at this character, Kevin.
Yeah, and Lacey jumped in the chat and said, Sam Witwer is brilliant. He has played a Star Wars villain, 3 DC villains in 2 live, 1 animated, vampire, ghost, zombie, Mr. Hyde on Once Upon a Time, and he's been on Star Trek and BSG. Yeah, he's amazing. He's definitely nailed. I feel like he's brought the soul into Darth Maul.
What do you think?
I feel like he's brought I was just going to say, yeah, I think he's brought the instability and the wavering into it. I really like when yes, I agree, Lacey, his range, both physical and vocal, is insane. I think that's a really good aspect to Maul's character. I specifically like when he does that voice where you can just tell that he's kind of gritting his teeth and he's putting a lot of force behind the words. And, I think it really shows a lot for a character who's had all of his rage kind of bubbling up for so long, because that little short story does say anger can only be so contained for so long before it bubbles up and rises to the surface. And I think it's a really good rendition of someone who's just fed up with the way that they've been treated,
Yeah, I think that's a very good point. And speaking of how Maul's twisted, and we talked about how sometimes he thinks he's doing right, I think that brings us to a great time to introduce the next character, of course, who is Devin Izara, voiced by Gideon Alden. And Camille, before we started the show, you brought up a great point about Maul and his apprentices, or the people he tries to bring in as apprentices. And I want to give you, as I talk about this character, I want you to kind of give your thoughts on that, because I thought they were very interesting.
Sure thing. So I kind of noticed this first when I was rewatching Return of the Jedi, and I was talking with you about it as we were doing the movie, Kevin. It was how Darth Vader has what I like to call a twisted sense of care for Luke Skywalker. And I feel like Maul kind of has the same thing because, I mean, regardless of the dark side's influence on him, as I was mentioning, he was raised this way. He was raised on how, how kind of violence and force is the key to kind of get your way. And I think even in the Clone Wars, because I was rewatching it a little bit before this episode to do some research, he's talking to himself back when he's still kind of like spider legs and Savage is trying to help him. And he's saying like, remember that I am fear, remember that I am, and he's kind of like mantra-ing stuff to himself. And I feel like these are things that maybe Sidious has told him. And he apparently has his own mantra to kind of grit his teeth through the pain. And I bring this all up because, like I said, this is just kind of how Maul has been taught. And so I feel like the dark side of the Force has corrupted this into a further twisted desire to help Devin here. Because I think maybe this is just me being a little bit biased because I'm very fixated on Maul as a character right now, but I like to think that he thinks he's doing the right thing. Is he doing the right thing? Obviously not, but I think in his mind, he's not just doing the right thing for Devin, but he's saving her. He's protecting her from falling to the ways of the Jedi. He thinks of it the other way around. He thinks that if she just turns to the dark side, it will be easier. She can get what she wants and she can keep herself safe.
Yeah.
And I kind of see him do the same thing with Ezra when we see him in Star Wars Rebels. So I think that this is Maul's way of trying to help people.
That's a good call. Yeah.
I think one of the interesting things, and you bring up some amazing points, Camille, you see it, though. What's interesting is his approach with Ezra is different than it is with Devin here. And I think that was, it's a great show of how Maul grows from this point to where he is at in Rebels, and his different manipulation, and in his own mind thinking he is right, he's doing the right thing. But yeah, I think you bring up fantastic points, Camille. So
thank you.
Thoughts on the character of Devin in this series?
I love it because we automatically get kind of a it's seen because obviously she's frustrated with the conditions that she's having to live in and beg off the street, with her master, and she's got a certain cadence in the way that she talks and walks. You feel like she's tempted by something, but you're not quite sure until later on, when she gets the influence from Maul.
She's also young and impressionable. So
yeah, exactly. And she's still learning about how people work, and and I don't know how much she's been manipulated, but Maul is a master manipulator, and you start to see that happen. But what I didn't know about this, Kyle, is that the voice by Devin is done by Gideon Alden. And if you don't know who she is, she's done other acting work. She's done other voice work. But did you guys know that her mother is also a voice actor in this series? And that's Pamela Alden, who plays Rena Saul, the old bounty hunting partner for our cop himself. Brander Lawson. And for those of you that don't know who Pamela Alden is, she's been in a bunch of stuff. I remember her specifically, though, in Californication. She's been in a bunch of TV series. But so it's kind of funny that we both have a mother and a daughter that are voice acting on this. But back to Devin, though, she's definitely the one of the highlighted characters of the show.
Yeah. Well, one of our other main characters, of course, is is Brander Lawson, who's voiced by Wagner Moura. This is a character I wasn't sure about when this show first started, and he grew on me pretty quick, even if he isn't the best dad in the world. But this is a guy who definitely has his own code of honor and plays up on it. And I think he was kind of really well handled as kind of the down-to-earth, almost point of view character for the show, Kevin.
Yeah, what I really liked about this character, in a way, this show was almost his show. because you're seeing it from his point of view. You're getting used to the way that he's doing his job. Two Boots, who is his partner, the droid partner, he's obviously estranged from his wife, but he's still trying to be a father. But you know that he has this background, which I find fascinating, that he was a bounty hunter. So he's been around, he's seen some shit, but he doesn't want the Empire, sniffing around, the planet. And so he really grew on me.
Yeah. What about you, Camille? What did you think of this character?
I think Kevin's right. I think it's kind of funny how it's almost like he's kind of right now sandwiched between the conflicts of Maul and Devin and her master. It's like they already have their own conflicts going on, and he's just kind of smushed in between it. So it's already pretty inconvenient for him. I agree that he was kind of a conflicting character for me as well. I was kind of like, there were definitely some times where I was rolling my eyes at him. I'm like, come on, man, really? Like, you can't even afford to do that for your son? I don't know. But I don't know. Maybe it's just that he's not personally my type of character. I didn't really care much for the way that he went out. But, again, maybe that's just me and my personal taste in characters. I just don't think he's the type of character to hook me in that well. But I still had some moments where I liked him. And I still thought he was pretty funny whenever he was getting stressed about everything.
There we go. Up next, we have Richard Odoe, who played Two Boots, our constant droid of the show. We had two droids in this, but this is a fun character, Kevin. The straight-laced droid follow the book, which ended up getting them in a lot of trouble. But I liked how they handled this character, and I liked how even the character was able to fight his own programming a little bit as the series went on, as he was basically part of the family for in an aspect here. And I thought sometimes droids can go wrong in Star Wars, Kevin. I don't think this was one of those times.
I'm a huge fan of Richard. He also voiced another droid on the Mandalorian TV series. And I'm a huge fan of Richard from going back to the IT Group, the British comedy show, where he was hilarious in that. But yeah, he's a by the books a droid, and you can tell he's got a wonderful rapport with Brander. And but he has a moment where he thinks he's doing a good job, and he basically snitches and lets the Empire know what's going on, and that leads to a lot of crap coming down. But then you see him make that turn and understand, okay, I gotta help my friends here. This is my programming needs to adjust now, So I liked him. I thought he was good.
Camille, I thought I heard a little clap over there when I brought up Two Boots.
Apologies for my mic picking that up, but yes, because this was actually the actor in the series that I recognized. So for once, I have that on my side. So yay. I recognized his voice like right away. I feel like he has a very distinct, recognizable voice. I know him from the Cartoon Network TV show Apple and Onion, where he plays the character Onion. It's a really silly, funny cartoon show. And so I immediately got really happy seeing his role as Two Boots. I really liked Two Boots too, because, I have a soft spot for droid characters, especially droid characters who they really feel like characters. And I think that's because I just love how Star Wars does that. I love how it makes you get attached to these characters and these droids, and you don't feel yourself asking, well, how does this make sense? They're a droid. How do they feel this way? They're a droid, and stuff like that. You just get attached. And I think that shows that they do a really good job of writing characters like this.
Well, our next character, Kevin, if anybody deserved to be a Jedi Master, it was Dennis Haysbert. And in this case, he finally got the chance to be, when he was the voice for Master Iko Diodaki. This character was very interesting. I liked how he was kind of almost felt like, in a way, stuck in the middle with what was going on with Devin, trying to be the old Jedi way, but the world's changed too much. And he got punked out by Maul, let's be honest with you.
When you start watching a movie or a TV series and there's a certain character that comes on,
you just know they're going to die.
Yes. Camille read my mind. And we were just waiting for it to happen. But I love the tone and the soul that Dennis Haysbert put into Iko here. and I thought that he did a good job with. But we're wondering, like, all right, when's it going to happen? Who's going to kill him? You know?
Exactly.
What did you think of this character, Camille?
I was a big fan of him, but I'm going to be completely honest. I had to look it up because I just kind of knew that it was going to happen. I mean, I guess it's kind of my autism, but sometimes if I get attached to a character, I just kind of have to know to prepare myself. Yeah. I mean, I kind of did know, but I still looked it up anyway. Someone pointed out something about his character that made the final fight, which I won't detail too much because I know you said you want to save that for the end. Yeah. But someone pointed out something that made it really funny. They pointed out that Iko Diodaki was not only jumping around a lot, which may have reminded a certain someone of Yoda, but he also very coincidentally pulled the Obi-Wan Kenobi stance. So I think that may have set a certain somebody off.
It might be a little PTSD there, but I'm just going to say this. I'm always a fan when I know Dennis Haysbert is in something because I always need some more Serrano in my life, Kevin.
Yes.
I'm going to run through the next group of characters pretty quickly. David W. Collins, who did the voicing for the droid Spybot. This is my saddest death in the show. I love this character. He was, I just loved what they did with this droid. I had a lot of fun. Do either of you guys have any thoughts on Spybot?
Spybot was great, but he was such a Maul snitch, which made him funny. But sometimes he was a little corny, so I was kind of glad he kind of ended his thing. And just want to give a shout out to Isaiah. He says Dennis Haysbert is his favorite actor.
Okay, well, I have to. Sorry, what?
I was just gonna say, did you like Spybot?
Yeah, I'm going to have to give a big old fat disagree with you, Kevin. It wasn't corny. He was hilarious. I love how he kept on going like, ceremony Emperors when he was seeing all the Imperials around.
Yeah,
but no, Spybot was a really funny character. Yeah, no, Spybot was a really funny character to me. I feel like, when people were watching this series, they go like, oh yeah, Master Diodaki died. Oh yeah, this character died. Spybot, no! Like I feel like he was kind of the death that got a lot of people because when it's that small side character, you don't always think of it. So I will admit that one got me, especially how even Maul looked kind of sad for a moment.
Yeah, Maul definitely looked sad. Yeah.
Okay, guys. Kevin, one of our favorites. She went to the Mandalorian side. Vanessa Marshall, of course, famous for being the voice of Hera in Rebels, was the voice for Rook in this series.
Did you know this, Camille? You actually have her autograph because I got it for you. Do you remember this?
Yes, I actually did not know this, but cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I didn't know that.
Of course, we had Inquisitors. AJ Lacanzo was the voice for Merrick, and Kevin, these are the same Inquisitors we see in season 1 of Ahsoka.
Yeah,
as well. So. Very cool.
The live action series, right? Yeah.
Yep. And then of course, Charlie Bushnell was the voice of Riley Lawson. I'm just gonna say I don't think season 2 is going to go well for him. Just a hunch. You were talking about Pamela earlier. There we go, Kevin. I like having this underworld character with ties, considering the whole police aspect they were doing with this and everything. I thought this was a good character to have in this show, Kevin.
Yeah, she played Rena Saul.
Yeah. And of course, Scott White filling in for the great Paul Bettany, giving us the voice for Drayden Voss in this series, a key character going forward, I think.
First seen in the Solo movie. Yes.
So, but guys, that's the cast. But we got one more thing we want to talk about before we close out on Maul. I wanted to wait for this to last because I'm going to give one last word warning. If you have not seen Maul, we are about to reveal something very big. So if you have not seen it, eject.
Before you go on, Camille wanted to say one last thing about Devin.
Okay.
Yes, Camille? If I may. I've seen some people theorizing, and I don't know how true this is, or maybe if it's just it would be cool situation. I've seen some people theorizing a possible link between Devin and the Darth Talon.
I've heard that. Because... or at least be inspired by the Darth Talon, because you could see her like putting the cool tattoos on her Leku and stuff like that. Yeah, I've seen that. That's cool.
Yeah, so that is a good point. So good job there, Camille. But guys, let's talk about who shows up in not the final episode, but the penultimate episode of Darth Maul, and it is a big part of the finale. This guy,
Who's that?
He might.
No
Lord
idea.
Vader, if you please. Lord Vader, if you please.
Oh, that guy. Yes.
This might actually be one of his cooler show ups in a Star Wars property.
Okay,
ever.
let's be honest here, guys. When you saw this for the first time, if it wasn't spoiled to you, did you go, "Oh shit"?
Oh yeah,
I think watching it, I thought to myself, it's either going to be a creature or it's going to be Vader.
I had no idea Maul was coming in like this, or Darth Vader was going to come into Maul this early. I thought maybe in the second season, so I was just like, "Oh no, they didn't." Yes, they did. Yay!
And what an appearance it was, and I am so glad they didn't actually have him talk because it made him that more menacing.
Yeah.
In these 2 episodes, I think maybe the only one thing that I kind of have a drawback with is I would have thought Maul would have sensed something from Vader, and they didn't really play up on that. You would think he might even, because of Vader being so powerful and Maul's own connection with Palpatine, you would have thought there would have been a little bit something more there. So I'm going to be curious if we get more of this in season 2.
Am I remembering a line from this season that Maul, as he's like in these pictures right here where he's fighting Darth Vader, doesn't he say like, "What are you?" or something like that?
Yes, he does.
Yeah, he does.
He says that.
Yeah. Camille, you dive into this. Your thoughts on Darth Vader making an appearance in Maul?
Sure. I mean, I was also kind of surprised that, Maul didn't immediately click on, oh, this guy's a Sith apprentice. Oh, he replaced me. Oh, I should be really upset about this. I was also kind of surprised by that, but God, this was a really interesting thing to see. I've seen someone say that, and obviously, I don't know how true this is because this is still very young Vader. I saw someone say that the way that he was fighting Maul may have been because Anakin was under the impression that Maul killed Ahsoka. Now, again, I'm not sure how true that is because I think Anakin sees Ahsoka in Rebels, and I think that's after her thing with Maul in Clone Wars. But I'm not sure. But anyway, I thought that their standoff was really cool, and I have to admit the part where Vader was trying to grab Maul through the wall when his hand shot through it. I do have to admit that made me jump.
The other thing, Kevin, I just want to bring up with this too. I liked how they animated Vader. They almost gave him a little bit of the Ralph McQuarrie look in this too.
Yeah, definitely from the original designs. But man, God, I got to tell you, what kind of vibes I was getting from this was at the end of Rogue One, and I wanted to ask you this, Camille. When we see the rebels, get the plans transmitted from the planet, and they get them, and then Darth Maul runs through a corridor and just demolishes a bunch of rebel fleet troopers, and he's just killing them and choking them out and slicing them up. I was kind of getting that vibe when he made his appearance in this.
I think so too, because like I said, this is very young Vader, so I feel like he's blowing off a little bit of that dark side infused testosterone, you know what I mean? I think he's definitely blowing off a little bit of steam, but in serious terms, I think he has a lot of pent-up aggression still going on, and I definitely think he's still at the stage where it's like, you're nearby, I'm going to take it all out on you.
I think what's interesting is we see this Vader here, and this is like the unleashed storm of Vader, where he hasn't become fully cold and calculating like we see at the end of we see him in Rogue One, and we see him in Star Wars, where here it's like almost like Frankenstein's monster, or maybe even like Michael Myers. You can't stop him; he just keeps coming.
Yeah, I mean
that's like this is what I think of, when someone makes a weapon, and now it's like, oh, it's grown too strong for me to control.
Well, guys, we are going to wrap up our coverage here of Maul on this episode. So I want to give everybody a chance to maybe give their final thoughts. Camille, it has been an absolute pleasure having you with us to talk about Maul. I know how excited you are about this. Do you have any final thoughts you want to give us about Maul, Shadow Lord?
I would say to anyone out there who is, watching this and stuff, please go do a deep dive on Maul. Go look at his wiki page and go to the resources and look through those, because I have done that to do some research for this. And like I said, I went through that short story. I went through a few comics, and it makes a lot of things fall into place. Like, if I were to rewatch this now, even though I've only read a couple of extra things, I feel like I would still feel a lot more for a lot of the scenes. But I think that this was beautiful. Like I said, I mean, it really hooked me once it started showing a lot of the vulnerability of his character. And I still think that Maul right now may be the most traumatized Star Wars character I've seen. My only gripe is, when are we going to get something like this for Grievous? You know, what am I saying? Yeah, you know what I'm saying? We need to see his backstory expanded on.
I do want to ask you. Yeah, I agree with you. Let's get more on that. But I do want to ask you one last thing about Maul before we let you go.
Yes.
What do you expect to see in season 2, or what do you want to see in season 2?
You know, I was actually thinking about this earlier today because, like I said, I've been rewatching Rebels, and I'm rewatching, you know, where he kind of meets Ezra, and I had to ask myself, okay, so is Devin, because I think this is like maybe, it's like around 10-ish years, I think, after Maul. And I'm thinking, what happened to Devin? You know, has she returned to the light side? Is she dead? Has she fled Maul? Has she, you know, so I'm really interested to see what's going to happen to her. But also, I think it would be kind of boring if season 2 just went along with her and Maul, you know, just being stuck in the dark side. Are we going to see the appearance of a Jedi try and come to help her? Are we going to see someone try to save Devin and bring her back? Is there going to be conflict between her and Maul? Are we going to get anybody else from Maul's backstory? You know, there's still a lot of room here.
Kyle, I'm so proud of her. Did you hear that? Look how awesome she
should
was.
be.
She's great.
She kicked podcasting butt today, and
Yeah,
I
she
just want to
did.
tell you, you're going to get more Grievous because he's starting his own podcast, Tea Time with Grievous.
Camille, thank you so
Exactly.
much for coming on. We really appreciate it, and this was a wonderful insight by you. And
I appreciate you finally having me. I've been asking you for a few months now, you stinker.
Your Uncle Kyle will take blame for that because of his time trapped on planet.
we got some ideas for more Camille corners. We'll definitely have to have you back on. So yeah.
Well, I will have to check out the Grievous books that we were mentioning, and maybe I could come back with something on that, or who knows, maybe once I watch the Ahsoka series or the Mandalorian series or the Book of Fett series, because as you know, I have all these TV shows to get through now, so I'll keep you two posted on as I go through those, and maybe I can share more of my thoughts.
Yes, please.
Well, we're going to let you go get to work and watching some of those TV shows again. So thank you so much, Camille. It's always a pleasure.
You rock.
And you did phenomenal. You rock.
All right. May the force be with you both.
May the force be with you. All right, Kevin, that's going to wrap up our Maul Shadow Lord. It went a little long, but it was more than worth it. Camille was fantastic. But this is Culture Clash, and we've got other things to do, including some classic Culture Clash segments. So, ladies and gentlemen,
let's news.
So, Kevin, we were on a little sabbatical for different reasons. What was surprising to me is the lack of news that was happening outside of a little thing called Cinecon. And they would previewed a lot of things coming out this summer. I learned a lot about it. It happens in Vegas. Unless you're media, it's very, very expensive to go to. So, but there were some interesting things that came out of Cinecon, including this little piece of news. I don't think we're done with Miami Vice, Kevin. We've had a TV show. We've had a movie remake by Michael Mann. Well, we're going to get it at least one more time because Joseph Kosinski's new Miami Vice reboot has some major star power attached now. The Hollywood Reporter is saying that the upcoming feature has locked down Oscar winner Michael B. Jordan. That happened while we were on hiatus, and that is a wonderful thing. And Austin Butler as its leads. They will be portraying the new versions of Ricardo Tubbs and Sonny Crockett. The new feature titled Miami Vice 85 is based on the 1980s NBC series focusing on the two undercover Miami cops. The Hollywood Reporter notes that the actors have signed on for the roles after long circling the project in negotiations. Kevin, I know you're a huge Miami Vice fan. How are you feeling about this?
Still am. I love the show. I dived back into season 1 recently. And what I love about this is that it's going to be taking place in 1985, and it should. This needs to be an 80s series because of how iconic it was, and how it was a front runner when it came to styles and cars and just an overall look. And that's what I want this to do. And the question I'm kind of having, though, is if, and I remember bringing this up to you before we started recording tonight, is are they going to kind of take some episodes of that we've seen before and kind of combine a few plot points into the movie? Like, are we going to see Calderon character? You know, are we going to see his first car, the Ferrari Black Daytona, get blown up, and then the Testarossa comes in? Are they going to do that, or are they just going to do their own fresh new ideas? Either way, I'm game for it. As long as it takes place in the 80s, I'm all for it.
I need the 80s, and I need an Edward James Olmos cameo.
Is Jan Hammer still around? Can you do some music for it as well? Let's do it.
Yeah, let's go for it. Now, something else that hit at CinemaCon, and this, Kevin, we need to talk about this for a minute, because
what am I looking at? This is creepy, Kyle. What is this?
This is Clayface, which is one of the new DC films that's coming out. I feel like your wife would be very much interested in this, because Clayface is a Batman villain, a very classic Batman villain. But in the summary, DC Studios is going full-body horror thriller with its next chapter, the upcoming movie Clayface. The first teaser trailer for the upcoming feature was released, and you can see the new foray into the genre. The teaser trailer was initially shown to theatrical exhibitors and media during CinemaCon in Vegas. The upcoming movie is directed by James Watkins and stars Reich Harris in the title role of the Gotham City villain. The story follows the descent of a rising Hollywood star to a revenge-filled monster, and a story that explores the loss of one's identity and humanity, corrosive love, and the dark underbelly of scientific ambition. Now, Clayface is a very cool villain, great in the Batman story. But when you're trying to get a comic book universe off the ground, you're taking a second-tier Batman villain who, this is more of a horror story than anything. I don't know if this is the right move for James Gunn, but this also screams a James Gunn movie, too.
Yes and yes. I don't know what to expect from it, man. I'm not, like I said, I don't read the comics. But if it's is it James Gunn directed, or is he producing? What's the deal?
He's producing. He's a producer on everything, because he's obviously running everything that comes out of DC.
Yeah, I'm skeptical. I'll just be honest with you. You know, I'll see it to see it, but I'm not excited about it.
Yeah, I'm a little confused by this. It'll be interesting to see what they do with it, but I'm just not sure this is. There's a lot of weird things happening with Warner Brothers these days, as we all know. So, yeah. But CinemaCon did have one other thing, and I'm saving the best for last, Kevin, at least in my opinion. Godzilla -0. You know my love for Godzilla -1.
What's with the -0, -1 stuff? I'm getting confused.
I think because of what they're doing with the timeline in here, before they establish like true full-on Godzilla, it's kind of like origin stories. But I want to kind of let me give a little bit of overview here, because Godzilla -0, the story picks up 2 years after the end of the last movie in 1949. Godzilla returns regenerating from the damage he sustained at the end of the first movie. The movie continues the story of the Shishkishima family, and they must face an all-new calamity. Godzilla -0 also marks the first ever Japanese project that is filmed for IMAX. Ooh. This presentation confirmed the return of the first film stars and all of their respective roles. And Kevin, if you watch the teaser trailer at the end, like we have up on our screen, it looks like Godzilla might be looking to take a bite out of the Big Apple in this film too.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see how well this one does next to the what was it, 1999 Godzilla.
I think I have much more confidence in this film. I mean, Kevin, we both love Godzilla -1, especially with the effects budget and everything we had, and the fact this is being filmed for IMAX. Godzilla film for IMAX. I am all in on this. I was already, but now I'm really.
Godzilla needs to be IMAXed. I love it.
Yeah. One last thing too with news. I didn't put it in the notes, but I meant to mention it. Also announced was the long shelved Coyote versus Acme film is actually coming out. Kevin,
is this animated or live action?
It's animated live action. The Coyote is suing the Acme company for all the bad stuff that's happened to him over the years. The defense attorney for Acme is John Cena. I am like, Coyote versus Cena in the courtroom. I am all in for this.
I want to give a shout out to Isaiah in the chat. Thank you for hanging.
Thank
in
you,
there, man.
Isaiah.
We appreciate you. So it's live action, but with animated characters. Are we talking like Roger Rabbit type thing?
Yeah, think like Roger Rabbit, Space Jam, things of that nature.
Okay, gotcha. All right. Okay. I don't know what to say to that, but okay. I have not seen the trailer yet, so I'll wait till I see the trailer.
Go check out the trailer. It'll be a lot of fun. But guys, we don't have a lot of news because we got something else we need to get to. We're going to return back to Star Wars here, but so let's do a little transition. Okay, we promised to talk about Star Wars Maul Shadow Lord, but I have something important to me that I've been kind of sitting on for a while. I want to talk about the state of Star Wars, Kevin. We are coming up on the 50th anniversary. It's been a bumpy road. Let's be honest. Since it's been a bumpy road for a good while, but
you know what it was the anniversary too is when I did my famous Star Wars confession on Culture Clash about my feelings on the sequel trilogy and the direction, So yeah, it kind of falls in line with that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm in fact I am making it an official hot topic here on Culture Clash.
Okay.
So I say this as we are approaching the release of Mandalorian and Grogu. And it's been in my head, Kevin. I kind of feel like with Mandalorian and Grogu and we're coming to an end of a chapter of Star Wars and an end of maybe even an era of Star Wars, because we've been kind of in this post-Disney buying Star Wars era. And we kind of had the sequel trilogy and Rogue One and Solo and what went along with those initial movies. Then we had Disney Plus come in and we got that. It does feel in a way to me with Mando Grogu coming out, it's kind of the end of this era we've been in with these Disney Plus shows, with the trilogy, even with like Rogue One and Solo. I feel like we've got a couple more things coming out, and I'm going to talk about those in a few minutes. But Kevin, it does feel like we're really ending a chapter. And in 2027, with the 50th anniversary of Star Wars and Star Wars Starfighter coming out, I feel like we are maybe hitting one of the most important years for the franchise, the stability, and the history of Star Wars.
I feel like it, with the missteps that have happened with the TV, certain parts of the TV series and the lack of movies since 2019, The Rise of Skywalker, I feel like it was, we have an important anniversary coming up next year with the 50th anniversary. They were like going, look, we got to get a movie out here. So, we're getting Mando and Grogu because that was probably season 4,
Yeah.
And they're like, we need to get a film out here and stuff. But, obviously they're cutting back on how many shows that we're getting when it comes to all Disney Plus TV series, whether it's Marvel or Star Wars. But I still feel like it's, they're in a whirlpool, but they're not going down, yet. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but I feel like they're still trying to figure it out.
Well, okay, so hear me out here, because this is one of the reasons why I feel like we're getting to an end of a chapter. I truly do feel like we're getting to the end of this particular chapter of Dave Filoni in Star Wars, even though now that he's risen and is the head creative at Lucasfilm and the changes that have happened with Lucasfilm with Kathleen Kennedy retiring, there's also the aspect of we have a new CEO at Disney, and that's Josh D'Amaro, who has taken over for Bob Iger. And one of the things I've seen a lot of people comment on is the quietness since Josh D'Amaro took over. You don't hear anybody from Star Wars talking. You don't hear Dave Filoni talking about a lot of things. You don't hear a lot about all these projects that they keep talking about. It's been kind of radio silence since Josh D'Amaro took over. And I think there's a very specific reason for that. I think they're looking at Mando and Grogu as kind of the closeout of everything that's been going on. I think they are seriously looking at Starfighter of being a new tone and a new direction for Star Wars that I think has been needed for a good while, and trying to get out of some of the sandpit of Skywalker that they've been stuck in. And I think they want to get Mando Grogu out because of that. I think Star Wars 50th anniversary is all going to be about the release of the original cut in theaters, and it's going to be about Starfighter. I think at Star Wars Celebration in 2027, we're going to talk about Celebration here in a minute. the focus will be Starfighter, and we will have some official announcement of at least one major Star Wars project that we keep hearing rumors about. One of these things has got to get confirmed.
Yeah, I mean, how many times have they done a big rollout of what movies are coming out, and then they're been delayed or shelved? And it's just been horrible marketing and planning, and too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things Josh D'Amaro, working with Dave Filoni and Lucasfilm, they're trying to fix. And that brings me up to part of this topic, Kevin. Let's talk about what's coming for Star Wars. What is confirmed? I'm not going to be talking about James Mangold. I'm not going to be talking about Daisy Ridley projects. I'm not going to be talking about Lando projects. These are the things that are officially we know are coming. So obviously in just a couple of weeks, we are going to have Mandalorian and Grogu come out. We're going to be doing a special on that here at the Fandom Podcast Network. Don't worry about that. Again, this kind of feels like it might be the wrap up. That one of the two things that's going to wrap up this era of Star Wars we've been in. I'm excited for Mandalorian Grogu. I do have some concerns still, but I'm looking forward to going and seeing a fun Star Wars movie, Kevin, on the big screen.
Yeah, I'm just excited to see a Star Wars movie on the big screen, period. You know, I don't have a lot of high expectations for this. I don't know how well it's going to do in the box office, and I really don't care. You know, if it fails badly, yes, that might, you know, stop them from doing more Mando movies. I don't know, but I'm excited to see these characters. I love the TV series, and I want to see how things evolved also in the canon world that we are learning about. You know, the pre-Return of the Jedi Mandoverse era. So I'm looking forward to that. My only concern with this movie is that I'm hoping that it doesn't look all CG and that it's all in the volume in the one room. I really was hoping to get some like on location shots like that we got with Andor and stuff. I don't know. Maybe they'll be good enough to where it won't matter, but I'm still looking forward to it. There's so much popcorn buckets and Burger King stuff that's already out right now that people are excited for. So at least there's that.
Yeah. My feeling on this is kind of that's some of my concerns. Is it just going to feel like, okay, they took season 4 and put it into a movie?
That's what it is. That's what this is.
Yeah.
They you know, whether they say that there is a season 4, I'm not going to bet on that, but I'm sure they took the elements from it.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be season 4. I think this is going to wrap up the story of the Mandalorian and Grogu in this film. I think we can see the characters somewhere along the way, but I wouldn't be surprised if this is our last look, at least at the Mandalorian, for a good while.
Real quick, I wanted to ask you, how are you going to see it?
I am going opening night, the IMAX. By the time I got a chance to get tickets, the IMAX was pretty much full. I'm going to go see it on a Dolby Digital theater screen, which is very impressive in its own right. And then I'm going to try to go the next day to go see it on IMAX.
Yeah, I'm looking at IMAX. There's an IMAX 3D. I definitely want to see it in 3D one way or another, whether it's IMAX 3D or if it's going to be regular 3D. But my local 501st area costume group, we're going to be trooping, as we call it, at the Arlington Theater here in Santa Barbara, which is where I saw the last Star Wars movie on the big screen, and we also trooped for that one, which was Rise of Skywalker. But also it's the same theater I saw the original Star Wars back in 1977 when I was 6 going on 7 years old.
Yeah, that is very cool. But let's talk about one of the other things that is confirmed. And I know, Kevin, this might be something that doesn't excite you, but they are spinning off one of these Star Wars Visions that has had 2 episodes now, one in season 1 and one in season 3. And for a lot of people of all the Vision series, they feel this is the one that could be the truest like Star Wars type sequel within the universe. And that is The Ninth Jedi. This has been one of the most well-received of the Star Wars Visions. I'm very excited for this. It's going to be on Disney Plus in 2026. I like the story that they've done with The Ninth Jedi. And I like the fact that it's one of the things with Star Wars is I like it when they give me Star Wars in a different direction. And that's what I like about this. I like the fact that it's going on Disney Plus, and I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm excited for this project. It's beautifully animated. The world that they've created for the story of The Ninth Jedi feels very Star Wars and is very enjoyable. And I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with it, because I do think of all the Visions that they've done with the 3 seasons, this is the one that really could carry on something. And I'm curious to see how this is going to play out.
I'm not going to say I'm not going to watch it, but as you know, and I don't know if everyone else knows, but I'm not a fan of Visions because none of it's canon, and I don't need other people to do their versions of Star Wars when it doesn't fit into the Star Wars timeline that we currently have. I'm happy people are doing it and having fun with it, but it's not my cup of tea.
I think The Ninth Jedi, the way it's written and the way they produced it, Kevin, they could call it canon. They could make this canon, but it's
how long
so
is this? Is this like one episode? What is this?
This is gonna be like this is gonna be an 8-episode series.
Oh, so it's gonna be its own TV series.
Yeah, it's gonna be its own. It's the first of anything Visions to become its own TV series.
Is it canon then? Shouldn't it be canon if it's gonna that much production?
That's the rumor, is that they are going to make this canon, but because of where it will fall in the timeline, it's going to be so far in the future that they can put it in canon. But
I'll give it a shot then if that's the case. But we'll see.
I would say it's not going to be out till later 2026. If you get a chance, go back to Vision Season 1 and Vision Season 3 and watch the 2 Ninth Jedi episodes. They're each about 12-15 minutes each. I think you would like them. But this is the big one, Kevin. Star Wars Starfighter. They're filming right now. Things are going on.
No, they're done filming. They're in post-production now.
Yeah. This is the movie that I think may go down as one of the most important films in Star Wars history, because this could sink or swim the Star Wars franchise. Because I think this is the movie they're banking on to really get people back into loving Star Wars and enjoying and bringing in a new generation of Star Wars fans. You've got one of the hottest actors in Hollywood with Ryan Gosling, who normally doesn't do franchises. And this is a big thing. And you've got everybody wondering what they're going to be doing with this movie. And it's got a great cast in its own right. I mean, Amy Adams, I'm a big Aaron Pierce fan. We're going to see him in the Lantern series later on this year. Mia Goth, of course, my love for Matt Smith from Doctor Who. But Kevin, I think Star Wars Starfighter, it's got to be the centerpiece of Star Wars Celebration. And I think it's got to set a new tone for Star Wars.
Agreed. Sean Levy directing it, become a fan of his, of course. Of course, he did Deadpool and Wolverine. I just recently watched one of my favorite comedies he did, The Internship with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this. I feel like it's kind of be a standalone thing. It looks like it's going to kind of distance itself from the sequel trilogy, but I expect there to be a tie to it. Maybe we'll see. But Kyle, let's be honest here, man. Let's be honest here. The real reason that this movie is so important is that next year, not only are we going to get Ryan Gosling into Star Wars, but that means he's probably going to be hosting Saturday Night Live for the 5th time. So he'll do the 5 Timers Club, and we'll get more Ryan Gosling on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah, that's always a good thing. But yeah. Okay, up next, and I think Kevin. I really enjoyed Ahsoka season 1. We have Ahsoka season 2 coming. We don't know even confirmed if it's going to be 26 or 27.
I heard rumors, Kyle. I heard rumors going to be like July.
Yeah, I don't know. There's been nothing confirmed as far as release date. We know it's been filmed. We've heard some rumors that it doesn't have the budget that season 1 had. It feels like it might be altered quite a bit because I don't think Dave Filoni is going to get the follow-up movie that he wanted to kind of close out his Mandoverse.
Yeah, he wanted we wanted the Avengers version of the Filoni-verse / Mandoverse.
Yeah, and so I'm looking forward to this. I love Rosario Dawson as a character. I want to follow up. I thought, like I said, I thoroughly enjoyed season 1, but I almost in a way, Kevin, feel like this might be that Mandoverse Filoniverse going out more with a whimper than with an exclamation point.
Yeah, I enjoyed Ahsoka season 1, but it had its issues. And I really hope that they fix those when it comes to the writing of that show. That was one of the issues with that series. But also, I don't want to see Ahsoka. I want to see Ahsoka, not Ahsoka.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you there. But I'm really looking forward to it to see what they do. It's just, when is it going to come out? And like I said, are we going to have...
I think we're getting it this year. They finished filming it last year, and we're getting it this year for sure.
Yeah. And then the last confirmed project, season 2, Darth Maul, or Maul Shadow Lord. I'm looking very forward to this. Season 1, like we just spent an hour talking about it, but it caught me so by surprise how fantastic it was, and I can't wait for season 2.
Yeah, excited. And there's rumors out there might be getting a season 3, but I'm looking forward to it. Let's bring it on next year. We gotta wait though.
Another key component though of next year, Kevin, with it being the 50th anniversary, is the return of Star Wars Celebration, returning to Los Angeles for 2027. And very important, but it's already off to a rocky start.
Oh God. Yeah. So me being close to Los Angeles within like a 2 hour, go back to the picture real quick though, before we get into this, Kyle. Before I'm at like a 2 hour drive from the convention center this is going to be at. I've been to that convention center. I know they've redone parts of it or whatever. But I was actually on the fence before this was announced that I'd ever go to another Star Wars celebration, just because of the hassle that it's starting to become. And that came to fruition this time. I decided, like, okay, I told myself, look, I'm going to try to get tickets. If I get them, fine. If I don't, I don't. Right. But as I was sitting in the online queue when they went on sale at 12 noon Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, and I was also messaging back and forth with our private chat with our local 501st group and just seeing the issues that were starting to happen right away, Kyle. It brought horror moments I had with Reed Pop, who is running the show when it comes to the sales and just the floor in general and the lines and all that kind of stuff. And getting to try to get tickets for this was just insane, and one of the most excruciating and painful moments I've ever had trying to get tickets for anything ever. For those of you that know, they sell a small limited amount of VIP Masters things. So a 4-day normal pass was like $260, $70 with some, extra charges on top of that. The VIPs were like $1,200 and something dollars. They obviously sold out right away. I expected that. But the 4-day passes, and if you're looking at the video right here, I have 2 pictures up. The first one I want to touch on first is what was happening when people were allowed to purchase them. I heard that people were allowed to purchase up to 20 sets of tickets.
Which is ridiculous. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous.
And so people were reselling their tickets right away, and they had a one VIP master badge, which was like $1,200 normal price. People were selling it for up to $4,000 plus. And then people were celebrating like, here's one here. I had 2 4-day passes, $6,600. There's been a lot of reports of people reporting these. You're not supposed to sell these on eBay and them pulling down the auctions and stuff, but the damage was done. And then there was the thing that was frustrating while I was online and everyone was waiting to get tickets. There's this little green bar and there's this little tiny man, and he just went slow and slow and slow and slow if you're in the queue. And someone put a t-shirt on sale. I don't know if it's fake or real, but I would buy this t-shirt. And it shows Star Wars Celebration 2027 logo, and it shows a little green man and the little bar logo. Kyle, I was in the queue for just over 4 hours. And by the time I was able to get on myself, only Thursday passes were available. 4-day passes sold out, so people had to buy, if they wanted to go all 4 days, they had to buy individual Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday badges. And it was more expensive that way. It was like $360 to buy 4 individual passes, because each, like Friday and Saturday was like $91. Sunday was like around that, and then Thursday was the cheapest day. So if you wanted to buy those individual passes, it cost you more money than a 4-day pass. And I'm convinced that they were selling less 4-day passes so they can make more money off the individual passes that they were going to force people to buy. And it was just a horrible experience. I did finally get a Thursday one because The thing that made it more frustrating was that if you wanted to pre-purchase the merchandise that they teased, a bunch of t-shirts celebrating the 50th anniversary, the official Star Wars LA 2027 logo shirts, they had hoodies, t-shirts, hats, pins, magnets, all kinds of stuff. Even had a really cool flight jacket that was really neat. If you wanted to purchase those things, you would do that at the end. You only had like, I think 10 or 15 minutes to do all this because you had that countdown going down like they do it at all pre-sale tickets things. The good thing is that if you ordered your merch ahead of time, along with your pass, your merch will be mailed to you before the show, and then you bring it to the show. So I ordered the jacket because I really wanted the jacket and the official Star Wars logo t-shirt, but I was only able to get a Thursday pass. So at least I don't have to spend extra money on all the 4-day hotel rooms. I can just drive down there for the day, see who I can hook up with and hang out with, because that's really the only thing I really look forward to conventions, especially in Star Wars Celebration, is people that I will see that I will not see anytime during the year. And it's like one of the things I'm kind of bummed out, Kyle, is whenever I do the celebrations, I'm in the Wilbur Hood group and I run with the Hoods. I don't know if they're going to be doing it on Thursday. If I'm screwed, I can't do that. It's sad.
For me, and this is the reason why I wanted to bring up this whole conversation too, is I'm a Star Wars fan. I love Star Wars. Star Wars was one of the first things as a kid I remember seeing. I was playing with the toys. The original film and the original trilogy are still magic to me. When the prequel trilogies came out, there was still the excitement and the energy of going to get tickets, being in line to get tickets, all the people you had enjoyment with, whether the film was good or not, or what you feel about the prequel trilogy. It was still magic to have that happen. And you had Clone Wars come out, and Clone Wars actually, for a lot of people, redeemed the prequel trilogy and it got them falling in love with Star Wars again. When Force Awakens came out, we were so excited. And I'm not gonna lie. I still had fun with Force Awakens. I enjoyed Force Awakens. I enjoyed the experience of Force Awakens, going to the marathon leading up to Force Awakens. And then it went sideways. Disney bought things. Disney made decisions I don't agree with. Disney tried to make Star Wars their own thing and wipe out the history of Star Wars in the process. It backfired. We have gotten some great things since Disney took over. We got Rogue One. We got Andor. We got The Mandalorian. We've had good things, but we've also had a lot of promises, a lot of that have been broken, a lot of unfulfilled potential, directionless leadership. We've had saying this project's coming out, and nothing. There's a change in leadership again at Lucasfilm. There's a change in leadership at Disney. We have a film that I think really has a chance to set the direction coming for Star Wars, and I feel like we are ending a chapter. And Kevin, I think this is the most important. 2027 is the most important year in Star Wars history, maybe since Empire came out. I think it's that important to it, because if Starfighter doesn't succeed and if they don't make some changes and get things on a proper track, I worry that in another 10 to 15 years, they could sink this franchise entirely.
I can't disagree with anything they said. I just want to say one more thing regarding the Star Wars Celebration. And for those of you who are listening, I feel for the people that are trying to get hotel rooms, because I've been to the LA Convention Center and I have an idea of what it's like down there. You can take the train there from other locations, but going forward, if there is ever any more celebrations in the LA area, it needs to be in Anaheim, because there's so many hotel rooms around that convention center. A lot of them are walkable too. And of course it's near Disneyland. They should not have put it at the LA Convention Center, because I went to the celebration back in 2006. It was in LA. And I was living in Long Beach, and I ended up taking the train in each day because the hotel rooms were just few and far between. And the ones that were the closest ones were so damn expensive. And nothing's changed when it comes to that. It's sad.
Here's a thought too. It's been a while since you've done it on the East Coast, or we do have Orlando. There's no hotel issues in Orlando. I would like it to. I would rather, honestly, if it were in Orlando, because I'd rather fly out there
and get a room somewhere around there because there's so many around there. I would love it to return to Orlando.
Yeah. So, we know we're running long, but we've been gone for a while. We got one more thing we got to do around here, guys. So, without further ado, buy it, stream it, or unsee it. Kevin, we've seen a few things, not as much as I would like because I was working a whole bunch, but I know you've seen some things. We got a little buy it, stream it, or unsee it. Of course, that means we always got to mention our good friends over at Letterboxd. What's the number up to, Kev?
Yeah, first of all, you can follow me at Spartan_Phoenix on Letterboxd if you want to see what I'm watching. You're on Letterboxd too, right, Kyle?
Yeah, I just haven't had time to update. And I've seen, according to Letterboxd, I've probably seen like a half a movie.
I keep track of each year of the movies I've been watching. I've been doing that since 2023, and through May 8th, I have seen 174 movies.
You are on a roll, my friend. But we're going to talk about a few things here. I want to talk about a couple of things I did watch during my busy work time. It's actually a lot easier for me to watch a TV show because I can kind of watch it in bits or catch a 1 hour episode here compared to trying to go into a movie. One of my favorite shows going on right now is The Pit. And I know your lovely wife has finally gotten you into this show, Kevin.
I'll comment on that. That's not necessarily true.
Okay. I'm a huge Noah Wyle fan. ER is one of my all-time favorite shows. I love The Pit season 1. The concept of mixing 24 and ER felt really good. Great characters. Season 2 of The Pit just continues on. It just wrapped up its second season. We already know we're getting a season 3, but this season was absolutely phenomenal. If The Pit season 2 follows Dr. Robbie, played by Noah Wyle, through a tumultuous final shift before a planned 3-month sabbatical as he battles untreated PTSD and burnout while managing the complex chronic crisis, including a high-stakes IT shutdown in the ER. The season focuses on team dynamics, new strained relationships with Dr. Al-Hashimi, and personal long-term healing journeys. Just a couple of key storylines in this is Robbie's mental health and sabbatical. There's an IT crisis where the hospital has a threat of getting hacked, so they have to go old school. The return of some key staff, including Dr. Langdon, who returns from rehab, and also this season moves away from more of the acute focus of season 1. The season focuses on a long-term recovery, financial stress on patients, and social issues in this season. But it's so phenomenally acted, and Noah Wyle is just a tour de force in this show, Kevin. Now, I also know how you feel about medical dramas.
Yeah. So what's funny is that when my wife and I went to do a tour of the WB movie lot last year, which is a lot of fun, I highly recommend if anyone's in Burbank area to take that tour. My good friend Callisto actually works there. She does tours as well, and because she can speak several languages, which is great. And they film it there in this lot or in this enclosed studio there. But my wife loves this show, and when I was in Australia with her, I caught several episodes, including when everything goes dark, or not dark, but when they lose the internet, basically, and they have to do everything old school. But yeah, I came to the conclusion that I am not a fan of medical dramas. I just can't get into them. Personal reasons. I've been into too many ERs in my lifetime, Kyle, and it just makes me uncomfortable watching them. I'm not a fan of them, but I give all props to the performances that I've seen on this show. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, and I can understand that. Not everybody's cup of tea, but I HBO just continues to just knock it out of the park with their original programming, no matter what it is.
HBO is how I'm rewatching Banshee right now, because it's on HBO Max right now.
Max,
I love Banshee.
What pre Homelander for
pre Homelander Banshee.
Yeah. Next up is another TV series I got caught up on. Season 2 of Monarch: Legacy of Monsters. Of course, this is a show that's spun out of the Godzilla Kong US versions that we've been getting recently. This show is actually incredibly well acted. You have Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell playing the same character at different times in history in this.
Oh, so they're the same character, not father and son.
They're not father and son. They're the same character. Kurt Russell plays the older version. Wyatt Russell plays
that's
the younger
cool.
version.
Okay.
And
as you can see, Kyle, I have not watched it. So
yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of kaiju and all this Godzilla, so I'm all in on this. But this show is a lot of fun, and Kevin, it does what I think what they really wanted to try to do with Disney Plus, with both the Marvel shows and the Star Wars shows, where it builds out the universe more. This show succeeds where some of those shows on Disney Plus have not. This show is really building that expanded universe of what they've created with this Kong and Godzilla world that they've done. And in season 2, we're introduced to a new Titan. We understand more about the realm the Titans actually exist in and come from. We understand a little bit more.
Another kaiju, right?
Yeah, another yes, but the big focus is on a Titan called Titan X in this series. But we get Godzilla for a little bit in this. But if you are a Kong fan, you get a lot of Kong in the beginning and end of this. And
that's cool.
This series is fun. It plays with some really good concepts, including some time travel concepts. And Kurt Russell is phenomenal in this series. And it's worth it for that. It's cast all around. The main female lead was actually in the FX Shogun series that they did a couple years ago. The remake of Shogun. She was in that. It's on Apple TV. If you're a fan of the Godzilla verse that they've done here with Skull Island and the Godzilla films and the Kong Godzilla, and we will be getting another one of those films soon too. You need to watch this show. Get an Apple TV subscription. Watch it. I promise you, you're gonna have fun with it. You're gonna enjoy it. You might get a little frustrated by the lack of Godzilla in it at times, but it's still very well done and really builds that world out more to where you can understand certain things. And I highly recommend it.
So for the Pit, it's obviously is it a buy it or stream it for you?
It's a it's a buy it. Both of these shows are buy it for me.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. Nice.
So,
all right.
Now, Kevin, you had the opportunity to see a little bit more than I have because I was trapped in Planetaxium, but a movie I'm for other reasons I have not had a chance to see yet. Reasons that I know, Kevin, you understand very well. But Project Hail Mary, this has been so far the movie of the year as far as what people have been talking about. Gosling's performance in it is being raved about. What did you think of Project Hail Mary?
It's sad that you have not made time to see this movie, Kyle.
Well, that is the intent now that I'm getting some time.
So what was really cool about this movie is I was in Australia when this movie came out. It released on the same day all around the world. But my wife Erin and I, we decided to approach it differently and see it in a different venue. Instead of seeing it in the brand new theater or whatever, we actually took a little weekend vacation and we went to see it on a drive-in in Australia, just outside of Melbourne, Australia. A wonderful drive-in theater that has 3 screens playing simultaneously, and usually you pay for a double feature. So you would see Project Hail Mary and then something else. And then there was a cool diner in the middle of the venue. It's kind of like a 50s style themed diner. You can go and grab your food and take it to your car, or you can stay there and eat it there as well. And it was a lot of fun to sit in the drive-in, and then instead of the old little talkie boxes that you would pick up from the pole and hang it from your window, you would tune into a local like FM station and hear the movie that way. Outside of that, it was a lot of fun. This movie was great. It's a very cool story. And obviously, directed by Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, and stars Ryan Gosling, Sandra Hüller, and James Ortiz as the voice of Rocky, but also was the one of the main puppeteers, because Rocky that you see, this alien that he befriends, and they help each other trying to figure out how to basically save both their worlds because of this thing that's going on in the galaxy that's threatening both their planets. They have to work together. But what was really cool is the story of James Ortiz working closely with Ryan Gosling this whole time and doing the voice, which is a stand-in voice at the time, that when they were deciding like who was actually going to do the voice for Rocky, Ryan was like, you got to have James. I'm used to it by now. He said he is Rocky. And so he did a lot of fun press with the press tour talking about that. And it's definitely a buy it for me. I can't wait to watch it again and buy it on physical media.
It's still in theaters, so I'm hoping this weekend I get a chance to go see it. There just were reasons, and I don't need to elaborate into them, but I do very much want to see this movie and looking forward to seeing it. But Kevin, up next for you is a movie a lot of people are talking about too. I've heard very mixed reviews on this film. Some people are really liking it. Some people are not so sure about it. But the one thing I've heard on a regular basis is Jafar Jackson is amazing in it.
Yeah, so I saw this in Las Vegas. Went to go see went to a draft party, a couple draft parties in Las Vegas for the Raiders, and it opened up that weekend. And I was curious in seeing this, and one of my friends, Matt, who actually was at my me and my wife's wedding in Vegas because he lives in Vegas. He's also part of the 501st, the GI Joe costume group, so we nerd out together. And we're kind of looking at each other. Yeah, what do you want to do tonight? After the festivities, and he's like, you want to go see that Michael movie? He's like, yeah, I kind of want to see the Michael movie. I said, okay. And so it's directed by Antoine Fuqua, who has directed a plethora of films, and he's worked with Denzel Washington many times. He did the Equalizer trilogy, among other things. And it stars Jafar Jackson, who is the second youngest son to the legendary singer and songwriter and producer Jermaine Jackson, and nephew to the king of pop, Michael Jackson. So he is the lead in this. And it also co-stars Neil Long as Michael Jackson's mother, and Coleman Domingo, who kind of steals this show as Joe Jackson. Is it Joe, the father?
Yeah. You have heard me praise Coleman Domingo now for about a year. His work on Fear the Walking Dead. He was, of course, in The Running Man as well. Coleman Domingo has amazing charisma, and he has a screen presence that I don't see from many actors these days.
He was so good as the menacing and ruthless fatherly figure that he was, and how he ruled with an iron fist in the Jackson family, and he was really good in this. But I got to give it to Jafar Jackson as Michael Jackson in this. And for me, I found myself, I really liked this film. I'll be honest with you. It surprised me because not only was he good, but what I liked about it is that you get the Michael story in an earlier stage of Michael. You get him as a young kid, the young kid that played young Michael. I don't remember his name, but he was good. So you get him in the Jackson 5, and then him breaking away from the Jackson 5, and then doing Thriller, and then he goes. You see the story go up until like the beginning, right before he starts working on Bad, the Bad album. Mm-hmm. So you get to see all the stuff that's happening, and I thought that was a good choice for this movie. You don't get to see all the weird crap that happens in the 90s with the Neverland Ranch and all that shit. But what was cool is that they recreate some of the most famous moments, including the famous moonwalk during the Grammys. Because I watched that live. I was blown away by that. When he is doing the Thriller video and the behind the scenes on that, you get to see all of that. And it was done really, really well. And you get a little more into the psyche of what Michael was going through and why he wasn't comfortable in his own skin and all of that. And I found myself tapping my toe to the music, and just reliving some good moments I have following Michael's career during that time.
I'll say this: I am curious about this movie because to this day, as far as the music itself, Michael Jackson's music is phenomenal.
Yeah, I'm glad I saw it in the theater, but I could say that it is if you haven't seen it in the theater already, that's fine. It's a good thing on the big screen to watch because the music and the moments really get to you. But I would give it a stream it.
Hey, it's a Mario Galaxy Edition.
So I recently watched the first animated Mario movie that came out a couple of years ago, and this is a sequel to that. And still nothing holds a candle to the 90s live action version. I'm sorry. I love that movie. I still love that movie. I watched that movie with Camille. We love it.
I apologize to our listeners.
No. I know people like this movie. I am not alone. That movie is insane, and I love it. I actually liked the first animated Mario film.
It was very fun. It was
of course. In that movie as well, of course, Chris Pratt is of course Mario. You got Charlie Day as his brother Luigi, And what I really liked about that first movie was that you had Donkey Kong in that movie, voiced by Seth Rogen, and then you get some other characters in there as well. And then in this one, you get, you get Brie Larson. She's in there. She plays a character. Keegan-Michael Key, Donald Glover, Anya Taylor-Joy, and Jack Black are all in this film. But I got to say, this one for me was disappointing for several reasons. It went on a little long. There was a lot going on, and it was all over the place. And I got tired of Jack Black's character that he was playing. The big I don't know what's that big character.
Kumba.
Yeah, whatever.
Kumba.
I got kind of tired of that, and I gotta tell you, there's two things that we needed more of in this film. First of all, we needed a lot more of Charlie Day as Luigi. He's barely in this film, man. I really missed the camaraderie between. That's why I like that 90s movie, because those brothers are working together. They're on screen all the time together, and you get that camaraderie between those two with John Leguizamo and what's his name? Bob Hoskins. Yeah. This one, they split up for the part of the story thing. And the same thing happened in the first one. I needed more Charlie Day as Luigi, And the other thing that was bumming me out was there's no Donkey Kong in this one, and I really liked the character that we learned from the first film that Seth Rogen brought to that character. And it would have been nice if it was in there. So for me, if you're a fan, I'm going to wait, just say stream it, Yeah. I saw it on the big screen, and just because I was kind of curious, and I enjoyed the first one, but this one was a letdown for me.
The rumor is they are working on a Donkey Kong film, so
I hope so. Donkey Kong was great. I hope Seth Rogen comes back. He was so cool.
Yeah. Is the Devil Still Wear Prada, Kevin? Because Anne Hathaway and Emily Blunt look really good in this poster.
Devil Wears Prada 2 is back and did not disappoint. This was. I kind of had high expectations for them, and my expectations were met. Everyone was back: Meryl Streep, Anne Hathaway, Emily Blunt, Stanley Tucci. Then you have additions with Kenneth Branagh, Justin Theroux, Lucy Liu, and B.J. Novak is in this film. And I was kind of curious where 20 years later, where they're going to kind of pick up from it. And Anne Hathaway's character, you remember from the first film, she does the assistant's job, but she really has aspirations of becoming a journalist, which she does. And she does really well. She makes her bones with that. But then she gets laid off. A lot of her fellow journalists get laid off. And then she ends up like working for the PR side of things for the Runway magazine that Meryl Streep's character still runs. And then, of course, Emily Blunt's character changes direction, and you find out what's become of her character. But I got to tell you, Stanley Tucci, both of these films, because I rewatched the first one and this one. He's the heart of this film, and he is fucking amazing in both of these. And he steals all of his scenes. He's great. I feel like he's the glue that holds them all together. And I kind of want a prequel of just his character in this,
I have one important question about the sequel, Kevin.
Yeah.
Did they find work for Vinny Chase? Because he hasn't really done anything since Entourage.
Nope. No mention of him. He was not at all. Yeah.
Adrian Grenier I'm referring to, but he's always going to be.
He's probably waiting tables somewhere doing something, but they go to Milan, Italy. They do some great location shots in this. And it was great to see Lucy Liu and her role in this. And it was fascinating to see them all kind of come together. And you'll learn a little bit more of these. And it was a really good sequel to the first film.
So is it a buy it stream?
Oh, definitely. I'm getting this on physical media when it comes out.
Yeah. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up everything here on this episode of Culture Clash. And it's been a long one. We've been gone for a while. We had a very special guest, and she was
Camilleers. Awesome. Yes, my daughter.
So thank you to Camille. Kevin, before we get out of here, I kind of did give my thoughts on the status of Star Wars. We're going along. Do you have any other last things as far as the state of Star Wars that you would like to add?
I'm just kind of rolling with the punches when it comes to Star Wars right now. Star Wars is one of my main fandoms, and it's been with me since 1977. And there's been the good, there's been the bad when it comes to the Disney era, and
there's also been the Jar Jar.
I don't know. I've been endearing to Jar Jar lately. I'll tell you right now. But it's it's one of those things I'm glad that I was able to share with Camille when she was growing up. It was one of those things I had to kind of like tread lightly. I didn't want to push it. I didn't want to force it down her throat, obviously. And so I kind of took my own little turn with it, whether it was reading the Star Wars stories or finding something Star Wars related that she would find interesting. And that was the Star Wars Lego games. And that really kind of led to her wanting to learn more about it. And And so it's nice that we had Camille on tonight to kind of, kind of full circle this thing, the circle's now complete, as Darth Vader said in Star Wars. And while Camille and I have been watching these movies, I've been giving my own insight on how I was feeling when I first saw them. And she was been asking a lot of great questions. So that part of it I'm really enjoying. And I don't know how far she's going to dive into the rest of the stuff that she hasn't seen and what she will see. I hope she goes and sees Mandalorian and Grogu, because I'm looking forward to that. But I just want to see good Star Wars movies on the big screen again. I really, really miss seeing it. And I don't want too many cooks in the kitchen when things go forward here. And it's interesting. I'm seeing a distancing of the sequel trilogy. Things are changing at Galaxy's Edge right now. You're starting to see legacy characters come. It was really weird to see Darth Vader walk out of Kylo Ren's starship, but that's because they haven't switched out that starship yet. But but I'm not going to complain about it, because it's a start, because that was the biggest mistake they did, was try to erase the original trilogy, the original characters, and thinking that everyone was going to be on board for the sequel trilogy.
Well, Josh D'Amaro, I think you might be off to. I think you're up to something, and I think it's something interesting. And you're working with Filoni.
I didn't even know who that was, to be honest with you.
He is the new Bob Iger. So, but I think he's secretly got some stuff, and I think there's a reason why things have been so quiet on the Star Wars front as far as other projects outside of Starfighter, because I think they want to put the focus on Starfighter and really make that into something special. So we shall see. But guys,
I'm excited for it. I'll be honest with you.
Yep. This has been Culture Clash on the Fandom Podcast Network. We want to thank you so much for joining us. If you're watching,
thanks for everybody in the chat too. We appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you want to know more about the Fandom Podcast Network, we are on our 10-year anniversary. Scan the QR code that's on your screen. It'll take you to our homepage of our backlog history of 10 years worth of audio podcasts. There's a lot of great stuff there. You can see how Kevin and I have grown as podcasters and YouTubers and all that good stuff. But yeah, give that QR code a scan. We promise it'll work, and we promise it'll take you to a legit website. Of course, too, you can find us all over the place on social media, where you have the Fandom Podcast Network Facebook pages for all the groups. We're always active there trying to get things going. We're also can be found on Twitter, on Threads, on Blue Sky, at FanPod Network. Kevin, where can people find you on socials?
All the socials, you can find me at Spartan_Phoenix and Spartan Phoenix on Blue Sky.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not as good as Kevin. I can't seem to catch my own name every time, but you can find me on Blue Sky and on X at AKyleW. You can find me on Instagram and Threads as AKyleFandom. And of course, you can find me on the Fandom Podcast Network Facebook group pages as Kyle Wagner. So, you know what? It's good to be back for a Culture Clash, Kevin.
Yeah, but it's nice to catch up.
And, Kevin, can you show off what you're wearing there?
Wearing my Culture Clash t-shirt that you can get on the Fandom Podcast Network TeePublic site.
Yeah, we put out some threads out there. TeePublic, go to teepublic.com, search for the Fandom Podcast Network or any of your favorite shows on the network. We got the gear there, whether it's shirts, hats, mugs, all of it there. We get a little kickback here. It helps us keep the kaijus in the basement fed. It helps us keep the time machines going. And, it actually gets us popcorn, too, for the couch potato theaters. But, it's all in good fun. We get more excited when we see our amazing listeners wearing the gear, and that really puts this right here. That's what I'm talking about.
Rocket.
So, guys, thank you so much for joining us. It's been a while. We're going to be back. We got some real fun stuff planned here very soon for Culture Clash. Thank you so much for all joining us for Star Wars.
Thank you again, Camille, for coming on. Appreciate you.
Thanks to Camille. And as always, it may have been a while, but just a reminder, the most important thing around here, respect each other, and even more importantly, enjoy your fandom. Go enjoy Star Wars. Go enjoy whatever your fandom is. We have done this thing, and we are out of here.